Well, we're joined now, I'm pleased to say, from the probe's launch at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida by Dr. Ken Kremer, who is a science journalist with Space Up Close. Thank you so much for joining us. Why is this a big deal?
Oh, why is this a big deal? Because, great question, because it's the first time we can really study a star. You know, it took 60 years to develop the technology to actually do this, to fly within 4 million miles of the sun. And so that's why it's a big deal. We've never done it before. The sun is the source of all life on Earth. And so we want to understand how the sun operates and space weather and how that impacts us every day.
And, I mean, so you have things like solar winds, right?
Yes, absolutely. Solar winds, coronal mass ejections. Every once in a while, they get really big. And when they get really, really big and powerful, they can knock out the power grid, communications. And what we're really concerned about is something like the Carrington event that was back in 1859 that was so massive that if it happened today, it would knock out all the geostationary satellites, would severely impact the power grids here on Earth, would wreak havoc on modern civilization. Didn't back then, because we didn't have that technology. But today we do. So we want to figure out how the sun really works and how we could eventually predict what is known as space weather to beef up and protect our satellites.
Well, Dr. Kremer, you know what the summer has been like over the past few months. It's been pretty hot here. I can't imagine what a spacecraft is getting so close to the sun is. How is it going to cope with that kind of heat and radiation and the rest of it?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, that's why we haven't been able to do this for 60 years. Well, there's a 4-inch thick heat shield made out of carbon materials that are extremely advanced. And what they will do is reduce the temperature that impacts the spacecraft from 2,500 degrees on the side facing the sun. And then the instruments behind it will be cooled by that down to 85 degrees. And that's the only way it can survive. So it took a lot of scientific research to develop this very thin, very lightweight heat shield that protects the spacecraft behind it. Because as it's flying through space, there's a heat shield in front, and that's what protects it.
From what I've read as well, it's also a very fast machine. It's going to be one of the fastest things, human-built things in space, getting to its destination.
Absolutely. In fact, it is the fastest. It is nearly 500,000 miles an hour. It's about 430,000 miles an hour. And that's almost 10 times faster than anything else we sent, which the prior one that was fastest was the Pluto probe to the planet Pluto, New Horizons, launched 10 years ago. This is almost 10 times that speed. And it's launched on a Delta IV Heavy, which is an extremely powerful rocket. I just came from the launch pad, and everything's ready to go.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Dr. Ken Kremer. The name, the Parker probe, by the way, is named after a physicist who was very prominent in the field, professor at the University of Chicago. I'd have gone with Icarus myself. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Thank you for having me.